And hello, everyone. This is your host, Zaheen Nanji, for a brand new rename of the show, Thrive in Life. So, you are thrivers. And this is why I wanted to name the show Thrive in Life. Before that, it was the Resilience Reflex Show, which was my brand, which is still my brand because I speak on resilience and a lot of the things that we do in life, whether it's thrive, survive, it's all to do with resilience. So this is why you see the new banner this time. And for those of you joining us, this is episode number 20. Before that, we've had 19 other episodes, and they were all called the Resilience Reflex Show. However, episode number 20, we're going to start a new, fresh, and I just want to point you to the direction of the book here. It's not a book, actually, it's more of a guide, and it's called 7 Habits of Resilient Women, because Kathy and I here, your co-host Kathy, and I are resilient women, just like you. And I wanted you to have this information, so make sure you go to my website, zaheennanji.com, that you see here, and download the guide. For those of you listening on the podcast, we are on a Hangout show, and I turn this into a podcast. So even if you don't see the names, of course, it's zaheennanji.com. That's ZAHEENNANJI.com. Now, if you missed the last episode, I highly recommend that you watch it, because we talked about how to create your morning routine. It's a common topic, but I find that so many of us have difficulty with that. So in that episode, we just don't share with you, okay, morning routine and the tip and how other people do it, but we actually go through step by step on how you can actually create a system as you go through that. So make sure you watch that. Again, you can go to zaheennanji.com and go to the show page and watch the episodes that you think call out to you. And of course, when you're feeling down and low, then those are the kinds of shows that you want to watch, because they will inspire you. Once in a while, we also do have a guest that comes on and shares their story. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to let Kathy introduce herself, and then we will go right into the 10 traits of highly productive and successful individuals. And as we go through the 10 traits, I'm going to give you some tips. So while Kathy is introducing herself, grab a quick pen and paper that's right next to you, and you'll need that. Okay, Kathy, come on up.
Hi, Zaheen, and I really like the name of the new show. I think that's terrific. Right, it's going in the right direction, I think, for what we talk about. So that's great. So my name is Kathy Calwell. I am a registered holistic nutritionist and a health coach, and I help transform beautiful women into realizing the beauty within themselves and bringing it out so the world can see them too. And like you, in recognition of International Women's Day, which is Tuesday, March the 8th, I also invite your viewers to download my free guide on my website. It's entitled 3 Days of Self-Care, and there's lots of tips in there for nutrition and exercise, how to sleep better, how to meditate, how to have more joy in your life. And it's my gift to your viewers and all the women out there. And if you go to my website at KathleenCalwell.com, you can download it on there for free.
Okay, awesome. Kathleen, you're just kind of breaking up a little, so I'm not sure if it's maybe the background noise, or if you have earbuds, maybe that would help. I'm not sure. But it's just, I don't know why that's happening today. I know the last few times it's been perfect, so I'm not sure what's going on. But okay, so while she's doing that, what I'm going to do is just, let you know that some of these things that I'm talking about are also in my book, The Resilience Reflex, 8 Keys to Transforming Barriers into Success in Life and Business. This book is available as an ebook on Amazon Kindle for only $2.99. You also get the print book, of course, and from CreateSpace or through Amazon too. So a lot of the things that I will talk about today, I will also refer that to this book as well. And by the way, it won a bestseller. Well, not one, it became a bestseller on Amazon Kindle. Okay, so let's get on with the 10 traits. Kathy, you have the 10 traits, and go ahead and let's see how we can share this information with the viewers.
Okay, great. So the first trait is play the victor mindset.
Right. So with that, what I want to say is that a lot of us play the victim mindset, and that's what I call the blame mindset. And how do you know that? When you ask questions such as, why is this happening to me? Whose issue is this, and why am I involved in this? Things like, whose fault is this? What's wrong? Things like that. So I have my notes here too, and I'll be looking back and forth to that. But when we say things like this, that's a blame mindset or a victim mindset. A lot of successful people will have a victor mindset, or what I call an outcome mindset, and they'll have questions like, what do I want and when do I want it by? If I get what I want, what will that get for me? How can I solve this issue right now? Do I have the resources to be able to solve these issues? Now, I may be going too fast here, but if you are watching this hangout, you can always pause, and afterwards you can always pause and take some notes. And if you're listening to the podcast, again, you can pause and just take some notes. But these are the kinds of questions that I also have in my book, The Resilience Reflex. Not in this one here, but in this one here. So just so you know. But these are the kinds of things that if you want to move from a victim mindset to a victor mindset, these are the kinds of things that you need to ask, the different kind of questions. Does that make sense, Kathy?
Exactly, yes. It sure does.
Okay, so there we go. That's trait number 1 that I see in a lot of people.
Good. So number 2 trait is start small and then build up.
Okay. So, okay, let me ask you this. Do you think a lot of successful companies just put out a product like this? Or do you think that they go through some research, they may have some focus groups, they will try the product out in a small way, and then once they tweak it and make it better, don't you think then they would take it out, right? So
absolutely.
yeah,
Yes.
so in the same way, whether you are a coach, whether you are a consultant, whether you're an entrepreneur or a small business owner, and you have a product that you want to release, whether it's an online course, whether it's a physical product, whether it's a service that you have, I think the best way that I have seen a lot of highly productive people do is that they will always start with a small focus group. And then they will take back all the feedback that they get, tweak, and then come out full blown with the product. So a good example that I just did, in the description, I mentioned that I'm doing the same hangout that I'm doing today. I did it as the first lesson in my Thrive in Life course. And they enjoyed it so much that I decided then to do it here. Well, the Thrive in Life course is just a pilot course right now. I haven't even advertised it out there. I only advertised it to people on my email list. and they came on and took it. So once I get that feedback, I'll tweak and tweak and tweak. Okay. So Kathy, you're more than welcome to share an example here if you like. How did you start small, and what are you doing to build up?
Yes, so my example is, I have another free guide on my website, and right now it's a free guide, and I'm going to make it into an ebook. To make it a published ebook. So that was my small step with that one.
Right. That's a great example. And I know I kind of mentioned more, like, me and you are, business women. So we have these examples of, businesses. But say out there we have, people who just don't know how to start small in different areas. So things like healthy eating, right? I think starting small means, well, can you give up a can of pop a day and replace that with maybe water, right? If you want to build some strength, yeah, can you do maybe 5 wall push-ups a day instead of doing 30, right? Or if you want to, write a book, like the way you said, a lot of people don't know where to start, or they think they're bad writers, which I felt when I started was, who wants to read my stuff, right? But I started blogging, and I found I just became better and better and better every time I blogged. So can you start that? So that's what I mean by start small and build up. Okay, there we go. That's trait number 2.
Okay. And trait number 3 is improvise.
Mm-hmm. That's so huge, Kathy, and all of you listening. It's, improvise, I think, is a huge part of building resilience and thriving in life. And I see that a lot in highly successful and productive individuals. There's some ideas that they outright come and say, yeah, it fell flat, but they don't waste time on it because they would rather work on that and make it better, or just start from scratch and build onto something else instead of feeling sorry about it. Whereas a lot of other people would just say, oh my God, it's a failure, I'm not even going to bother again, I was humiliated, or I'm embarrassed, or whatever. Well, a lot of other people have been too, but that doesn't stop them. So improvise should be part of your vocabulary and your mindset. Do you agree, Kathy?
Yes, and I think truly failures and improvising make you a better and a stronger person.
Yes.
It may not seem like it at the time, but it certainly does, and makes you appreciate your success that much more when you have it.
Yes. So why don't we recap the first 3 here? Okay. The first one is victor mindset.
Play the victor mindset, yeah.
Yeah, okay, mm-hmm. So that's the first one. And then the second one is start
small and build up.
Perfect. And the third one is
improvise.
Yes. Okay, good. So let's dive into the fourth one here.
Is reframe.
Right, reframe. So just, before I start about reframe, I just want you to know that there's a whole chapter in which is the resilience reflex. There's a whole chapter on there. In fact, when I do my keynote speeches, a whole section is on reframe. But let me tell you this. In simple words, and I actually got this from another speaker who explained reframe in the same manner, and I like the way she explained it. And she said it's basically going from an unhelpful thought to a helpful thought. How simple is that? Going from an unhelpful thought to a helpful thought, okay? But it's difficult, right? How do you make that switch, or how do you reset yourself? And you just have to find something that will make you click. And I have all that in my book, but I'm not going to go into detail. But some of the things that I've come across when I interviewed a lot of the people for my book, some of the things that they said were, well, I'm sure there's someone else who has had this issue, or they have a core question, running in the back of their heads that will help them reframe. So I know with me, every time I feel stuck, I feel like there's no way out, I think about reframing. And it could be a light bulb that comes up for you, whatever you want to visualize. But for me, that's that light bulb, and it says reframe on it. And for me, it's, I'm sure I'm not the only person that has had this problem. Can I do some research and find out who else may have gone through this issue and what did they do? Or do I know someone who's gone through this issue and what did they do? So Kathy, I'm not sure if you have an example of reframe, because I know that you coach clients, women, right? So they always come in and probably they're going through something in their life. How do you help them reframe?
I think one of the biggest things we use with them, and I know I use for myself personally, is to just stop, take a deep breath, and look at the problem, the situation, and say, what am I dealing with? And what can I take that's positive out of this situation and use it? Let's not focus on the negative. What's the positive? What's the upside?
Right.
So you're taking the focus off the negative, but looking at the positive, and then you will come up with the solution. If you step back out of it,
yes,
and look at it that way, the bigger picture, I think is one thing we use.
Yeah, and that I like that example. It's stop, thinking about the negative, but what has been something positive that has happened, or that that's what I would kind of think of, think of something positive that did happen today, and how did that help you, right? So reframing is very important, where even when it comes to, for example, we have a wellness center, and that's where I am right now, and we get a lot, clients coming in to coach on healthy eating and healthy weight loss. And one of the clients that came last week, she had had a bad week in a sense that she was always eating out because she was at a conference for 4 days. And one of the things that when she came in, she said, I've done so bad, I know I've gained weight, this is what had happened. And when she took her weight, she hadn't really gained, but she hadn't lost either. But she didn't look at that. All she kept on looking on at was, I haven't lost weight. And I looked at her and I reframed it and I said, well, at least you haven't gained. You're the same as last week. So try to celebrate that, right? Okay, exactly. So Kathy, that was number 4, reframe. What's number 5?
Number 5 is celebrate small wins.
Yes. So I started this in 2008 when I used to teach the law of attraction, and I have been certified by Michael Lozier. And one of the things he said was to celebrate the small wins, so that you can attract what you want, because you're always putting out a positive vibe. And I started to have a little journal in my purse, and it's like this small, right? And it's in my purse. Now, if you're not a woman, then you can have it by your bedside, or in your car, or in your jacket pocket, whatever suits you. And we always carry a pen, right? So any small wins that I would have, I would write that down. Now, I noticed that a lot of people who are successful and productive always carry this little journal around. First of all, because it helps them focus. If they have an idea, they want to write that down, which is great. But they also write their small wins. Why? Because on the days that you feel down, on the days that you feel nothing's working, you open up that little journal and you look at your 2-3 sentence for the day. And it really brings your vibes up, and it really motivates you to look for a solution, to keep you going, to motivate you. So now you must be wondering, well, what do I write in the journal? 2-3 sentence, and all it can be was, today I got an extra sale. Today I got someone buying me, lunch, right? Like, because that's a sign of abundance, where you saved your money and they bought you lunch. That's how you want to look at it, Today I just won $10 on a lotto ticket or something. Who knows, right? Write that down, because again, it's a sign of abundance. And I would do those kinds of things. Hey, by the way, I don't buy lotto tickets. But that's what I would do. And that's what a lot of the other successful people that I've seen do as well. So that's number 5, celebrate small wins.
Great examples.
Yes, thank you. And so we're on number 6.
Number 6. So number 6 is be the fixer, not the nurturer.
Oh, yes. I find, Kathy, that we as women, and I'm sure the listeners listening to this or the viewers watching this, we tend to help others out a lot. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I think we give, and then we just deplete in our energy. And it also could be a culture thing too, because I know in my culture, the woman does a lot. I mean, not only does she work, but then she comes home and she looks after the household. That's 2 jobs. And I'm sure that that also is in other cultures. Now, I just call myself lucky that I have a great husband who helps me out a lot in the kitchen, in the house, all that kind of stuff. But not everyone has that. So start asking for help. They don't know that you need help until you ask. And all you need to do is, hey, you know what? If we do this together, it will really help me finish this so I can work on something else that I need to do for work, right? Or for my book, or for, whatever it is. Learn how to outsource, learn how to delegate. So be the fixer, like fix things in your life first. Don't be the nurturer, okay? And a lot of women out there, the women leaders out there, they are successful and productive because they know how to outsource, delegate, and ask for help. I even outsource to my husband. And he'll say, are you outsourcing again? And I go, yes. I will ask him for help. Like, today's Sunday, and we have been cooking this whole afternoon, making meal after meal after meal. And, he'll be cutting the meat and he goes, there you go, outsourcing again, So we make jokes about it, but it's true. I'm asking for help and he's asking for mine, and that's how we work together. So remember, be the fixer. Kathy, what do you think about that? Did that make sense to you?
Yes, and I don't think just because you ask for help, that is a sign of weakness at all.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be made to feel like that. And I think we as women feel if we ask for help that we have that mentality, and we have to get over that, because we're not. We're definitely very strong women, and you can only do so much, and it's a positive thing when you get to that point when you do ask.
Yeah, I never thought about that point, Kathy, and I'm so glad that you brought that up, that some women think that asking for help is a sign of weakness. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because Yeah, you're right. You know, when I speak at women's conferences and I talk about how to say no, which is one of the next points here, um, they don't think about those kinds of things because they think it's a sign of weakness. So thank you for bringing that up. Okay, so we are on what trait are we on? Number 7 now, aren't we?
Number 7. Number 7 is set boundaries.
Set boundaries.
Which is a good lead-in.
Yes, it's a good lead-in. You're right. So
yes.
Set boundaries. Again, this is one of the traits of highly successful and productive people because they know how to say no to something, and that was kind of part of Be the Fixer, where they delegate out or they outsource out and they set their boundaries for their time, and even when it comes to money, like they know how much to spend and how much not to spend. Like they just know what is right and what's not, and they're not scared to voice it out. So set boundaries is very, very important. And so what I'm going to give you, the viewers and the listeners, 4 ways to say no. Ready? Grab a pen. Number 1 is, so if someone says, hey, I think this would be a good fit for you, all that kind of stuff, and you just don't want to take on anymore, you just come out and say, I'm sure it's a great fit, but I really can't take on anymore. I'm sure you'll understand that. Okay. Number 2 is, thank you for thinking of me, but I'd have to decline at this time. Okay. Number 3, how about you help me complete this, and then I can help you with what you want. So, again, here, it's the same thing as number 6, where you're asking for help so you can do it together, and then you can help the other person out. So you're saying no in a nice way, but then you're saying, yes, I will help you once you help me. And the 4th way to say no nicely is, I know someone who could help you, but could I ask them first before I let you know? There you go. So those are 4 ways of how to say no in a nice way. What did you think of those, Kathy?
I love that. Yes, great. Yeah.
That's
terrific
good.
tips.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so wow, we are done 7 so far. So let's just recap them all backwards. So let's Number 7 is set boundaries.
Set boundaries, yep.
Okay, number 6 is be the fixer and not the nurturer. Number 5 is celebrate the small wins that you have, and remember the journal. You can go to a dollar store and get that. Number 4 is reframe, and again, reset from an unhelpful thought to a helpful thought. Number 3 is improvise. Number 2 is start small and then build up. And number 1 is victor mindset. So we have 3 more to go, Kathy. So what's number 8?
Right. And number 8 is be mindful of their emotions.
Yes. You know what? One of the things I found is, especially I find women, I'm not sure about men, because, women tend to talk a lot and we go to networking groups and we find out what everyone's doing and so on. And one of the things I find that the ones who are the leaders, they are very mindful of their emotions. And what I mean by that is they know when to stop, especially when they're going through overwhelm. They just know when to take a break and just, what I say, flow out of their work. And when they are rejuvenated, they'll flow back in and give it 110%. So that, and I think when I say 110% is because they're so rejuvenated and they've come back with new ideas that they want to just dump it. And so being mindful of your emotions too. So in my book, The Resilience Reflex, I talk about how I noticed that too when I would burn out and but almost coming to burnout. I would then start snapping at my husband and my daughter at home, and I would wonder, why am I snapping away at them? And then I would end up crying. And I noticed this pattern. So once I became mindful and aware of those patterns, I stopped, and now I give myself time, and I've learned how to set boundaries. I've learned how to say no, and I've learned how to just take enough instead of taking so much on. So it takes time to practice, but you have to start somewhere. Right, Kathy?
Yes, and I think that's a good, going back to the journal idea, maybe keeping track of that when, you know, you say you were snapping or whatever, writing that down, like, why is that happening now? What's going on?
Yeah.
Same if a person, you know, has to journal what they've eaten. Why don't I feel good after I've eaten this particular food? Or why don't I sleep, you know, at night because this has happened? You know, maybe I'm stressed out. But keeping track of those emotions or whatever it is, I think is
Yes.
very valuable.
Yes,
Just
that
to
is
see
such
that
a
pattern and, you know, yeah,
yes, that is such a good
how do we
thing that
fix
you
them?
brought up, is that the pattern is so important to notice. And this is where mindfulness comes in, because you're being mindful, which means you're being aware of what's going on. And I will tell you one thing, and it's not, I think, you know, journaling, amazing, amazing example. But I think also then finding a solution after can help. Like I know with me, I do yoga, you know, once a week right now. I wish I could do it more, but the instructor that I have, she only does 2 classes a week. Um, and so with the one that I do, after I go to yoga, not only for the stretching, but for the calmness and the sereneness that I feel while doing it and after. Like I find if my stress, like, or if I find that I have so much work and I feel like, oh, here, it's almost like after yoga, it's like, yeah, everything's gonna be just fine. Like it's almost that attitude, you know, that yeah, everything's gonna be fine. So I feel good, so I continue to do it, right? So this is where you need to find a solution. Wow, we're almost at the end of the show, so we have, I think, 2 more traits left.
2 more.
So let's quickly go through them.
Right. So number 9 is trigger to create a new habit.
Okay, so a lot of successful people that I've come through and the ones that are very productive are very good at creating new habits. And as I watched that, I realized again there's a pattern. And then it triggered to me that I learned this in my coaching program, which is Neuro Linguistic Programming, or NLP. And what we learned there is that you have to have a trigger or a cue to help you remember that new habit. Okay, so this is something simple that I just have here for those of you watching the show on a Hangout, is you need a trigger to create a new habit. Now, what do I mean by that? Okay, look at the routine things that you do in life: brushing your teeth, combing your hair, getting dressed, driving a car. Those are all routine habits. Going on a transit system if you don't drive where you are. Those are all routine habits that you do. Those should be a trigger or a cue for a new habit. Okay, so for example, I know with me in the morning, if I were to have supplements at home, I would never get to them because it's chaotic in my house in the morning, making lunches, getting my daughter to school, getting ready, and all that kind of stuff. So I decided to take my supplements to work. I have them on my desk in my cupboard. But my cue is not even getting to work. My cue is when I'm drinking my coffee at my desk in the morning. That's my routine habit. As soon as I have my coffee, I'll say, oops, yes, my supplements, and that will remind me. So you see how my trigger, my routine habit is my trigger, and it helps me create a new habit. Now, when I was doing my research for habits, I came across the same kind of formula in the book called The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, and he explains it along the same lines. So make sure you get his book and read about it. Okay, Kathy, the 10th trait is?
Okay, the 10th trait is use tools to keep them focused.
Yes. So, all the mentors that I've had are very successful, and I have learned about the tools from them. So I'm just going to share the tools that I use, which I have learned. And some of the tools to keep me focused and productive. And these are the kinds of tools that I've seen a lot of successful people that I hear out there who have podcasts that are listened to by thousands of people. They use the same apps that I'm going to share with you right now. So you can see here with the elephant, that's Evernote. That's something that you want to have on your phone. You can see there, that's my podcast one. Okay. That's the one that I use to put my goals in for the year so I can look at them again. Though that's where I have my to-do lists. I will have, like, say if I find something online, I will copy that link and paste it to Evernote, like a new recipe or something that I want to try. Another one is, is Noseby, which I'll show you here. Noseby, there you go. That's the way it looks like. My daughter plays this game here, so that's what that is. But this is Noseby. This is great if you have projects that you want to share with your team, or you want to create lists underneath that. I love it. It's amazing, but it's not for everyone, but it's really good. The one I would highly recommend is this here that looks like a calendar. It's called Task and Cal. Cal stands for calendar, so Task and Cal. I love it. Why? Because I can put all my to-do lists, all my things coming up for the week, for the day, for the month, and I can view it right away and know how my week looks like. Because if I have a heavy week and someone comes with me with a new project or a new thing, I'll say, I don't think so. I'm good. No, thank you. Thank you for thinking of me, but no, thank you. Okay. So, and it syncs with my phone calendar, and I like that. So I put my appointments, everything in here. So the two main ones that you really want to start looking at are Evernote and Task and Cal. Okay, so there you go. Those are some of the tools that are used by highly successful and productive individuals. So you got all those 10 today. We've gone a little bit over time, but hey, we're here to share with you. We're here to learn this with you. And I did this because I found that the students in my Thrive in Life course really loved the 10 traits and now are starting to live by them. Okay, and if you want to know more about my Thrive in Life course and want to be in the next course, which is going to be also a pilot course, then contact me at zaheennanji.com, and also make sure you get the guide that's up there. I'll let Kathy have a few words before we close here. Kathy?
Thanks, Zaheen. As always, great conversation and great tips. And I know I'll be putting some of them into practice, that's for sure, especially those apps that you showed us. Really, really helpful. So, and as I said at the beginning of the show, I invite you to go to my website at KathleenCalwell.com and download the free guide, 3 Days to Self-Care. So thank you very much.
There you go. Make sure you go to her website, and if self-care is one of the things which I think we as women all strive for, make sure you get that from her website. So next time, the last Sunday of the month is Easter Sunday. So we're not going to have a show then, but we'll have a show on the Sunday before, which is March 20th. And on there, we're going to have a guest who's also a good friend of mine. She just released her book, and it is, I can't remember the title, but she'll share the 12 pathways to success. And she's an amazing woman. So keep a lookout for her, and keep a lookout for the show next time. Until then, have a great night, and make resilience your first reflex by learning how to thrive in life. Take care now. Bye-bye.